to see you here as we prepare for this release webinar.
Yeah, I see we have the first 10 people. Maybe next time we should record who will join first and somehow celebrate it. Do you remember who joined first?
Gavaskar was first.
So, Gavaskar, you are the winner. Maybe you will have a privilege to ask the first question. If you want to ask a question, post it in our chat, in Zoom. You can also share the link to our YouTube channel. You can invite your friends. And we will start in maybe 5 minutes. Hi, Ricky. Nice to see you again. Your name sounds quite familiar to me.
Yeah, we know Ricky well. Hey, Ricky. Also, Alan, nice to see you here.
Welcome, Misha, Anastasia, Stanislav, Stefan, Stig. By the way, I'm very happy to see you. Stig, Stig Bakken is one of the most prominent ClickHouse contributors. Vladimir, happy to see you. And KK, I don't recognize your name, but I'm also happy to see you.
And for those of you who are joining on YouTube, we can't see your names, but we're also super glad that you're here. We're keeping an eye on chats in both places. So whichever media you choose to consume this by, please feel free to engage. Excellent. We're going to take just another minute or two as we see people still continuing to join, but thank you for joining. We're going to get started here in just a moment.
So, Christoph, do you see any people from the meetup yesterday?
Yeah, there's at least one or two from yesterday. So for everybody, we're doing in-person meetups again. So by the way, if you're close to like some kind of bigger city, take a look at meetup.com. Maybe there's a ClickHouse group close by and you can join it. And then when we come by, you can see us in person. But yeah, we had one in London yesterday. And so I see some people that were in London listening to ClickHouse, talking about ClickHouse, getting some pizza. And it's great to see them again today. 2 evenings in a row with ClickHouse. Quite impressed, very happy.
See, the nice part about being part of the ClickHouse team is it's not just 2 evenings in a row of ClickHouse for us. It's ClickHouse all the time. I get to work with these people all day long.
Yes, and he does not get tired of us, or he doesn't tell us.
Yeah, I have a joke about ClickHouse community and the length of Tyler's beard, but I forgot this joke.
You know it's gotten bad when you need a better webcam that has a wider screen just so you can fit all of the hair that makes up the top half of your humanity into the screen. Awesome. We still see another person or two joining. I see some folk rolling into YouTube as well. Welcome, whichever channel you're on. We're going to get started here in just a minute or two.
Yeah, I see many more and more familiar names. So welcome, Anne. Welcome, Boris or Boris. I don't know what is more correct. Welcome, Brian, Dan, Ilan, Jean, Misha Shiraev, welcome, Nikita, Patrick, Robert, nice to see you in this wonderful event. Shane, nice to see you too. Tanya, so happy to see your name. And Tom, welcome.
Awesome. Well, let's get started. Welcome. Regardless of whether you're joining us on Zoom or on YouTube, we are grateful that you are here to join us to hear about the release. Before I hand it off to Christoph and Alexei, I just want to say first that we started using the phrase community call to describe this. And that's important because that's what this is about, is engagement with you, our community, be you someone who works at ClickHouse, someone who uses ClickHouse, or someone who's interested in ClickHouse. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Q&A is open. There's a bit of a burp with Zoom chat right now that I'm going to try to figure out while other humans talk. But we want to welcome you to this event, encourage you to engage, ask questions. We'll get to as many of them at the end as we can. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Christoph and Alexei.
Great, thanks, Tyler. Welcome, everybody. It's the July release webinar of ClickHouse. I'm particularly excited about this one. I mean, I'm excited about every ClickHouse release, don't get me wrong, even the small like bug fix releases, but you know, I'm a little bit more excited about some releases than others. And so this release is really exciting to me. You'll see why. And maybe also just to set a little bit of the context, some of you might know this, but for those of you that are maybe a little bit newer to ClickHouse, ClickHouse has been around for a while, right? The technology is actually more than a decade old. So it's actually sort of older than a number of other modern databases. And so you might think that after more than a decade of innovation, you know, maybe we'll slow down a bit, or maybe there's no cool, exciting features to develop anymore, but that's not how we do things. Like, we continuously still release really exciting features that matter to a lot of people. And so today is one of those days, one of those releases. So welcome everybody, strap in. And yeah, please feel free to ask any questions on the Zoom chat. Oh, the Zoom chat was enabled, great. So please feel free to chime in to ask any questions on the Zoom chat, in the Zoom Q&A box, or if you're watching on YouTube, in the YouTube chat. I have everything open on my monitors, so I'll be collecting all the questions and then I'll ask them of Alexei at the end. Welcome again, and over to you, Alexei.
Thank you. And yes, you are right. Every time I find many and many new ways to improve ClickHouse, and it looks like never-ending story. Let me share my presentation. Okay, so I will tell you about what is new in ClickHouse 22.7. It is just a regular ClickHouse release for July. And I will try to spend not all the time explaining new features. I will try to leave at least 5 minutes for questions, but it will be difficult because we have so many new features. You can name this release as mid-summer release. Nothing special. It is just about the middle of summer. Nice time. And we have more than 20 new features, around 20 performance optimizations, and uncountable number of improvements, and similar number of bug fixes. I like bug fixes the most, but I will tell you about the new features. It is more interesting. And what is the first? The first is some improvement that you will not notice when you have this improvement. you did have a chance to notice the absence of this feature in previous releases. But in the new release, it will work as expected, and you will not see this improvement, and this is nice. It is about window functions. So in ClickHouse, we have support for window functions like this. But they used to have some limitations. In previous versions, you cannot use window functions in expressions. You can write like select this, but you cannot write something like select 1 plus this, or select this divided by 2, or something more complex. So window functions were not composable in expressions. And to demonstrate, I'm showing you this query. It may look quite complicated, and this query is to calculate what versions of ClickHouse are supported and what versions are no longer supported. Let's go through this query. From when you read SQL, you have to read from inside out. Here I will read from file table function, from local file version date tsv. This query can run in a ClickHouse local tool. ClickHouse local tool allows you to run queries just from file system without loading the data. So I will read this data about every release from a file. This file contains 2 columns, version and date. I will use a regular expression to extract the first and the second component of every version. And I will convert them to integers. And just select and order by year and month. So our releases are named like 22.7. 22 is year, 7 is month. So July. And I will select the first release for every year and month. And I will use this quite unique ClickHouse feature, limit by. And I write limit 1. So select only one, the latest version for every year and month. Okay, what is next? I will select this year and month. And I will calculate the sequence number over some ordering. Over the ordering by starting from the most recent. And I will also calculate if it is long-term support releases that we have in March and August. And calculate another sequence number using COUNTIF function. It will count only if it is LTS. Yeah, maybe you already don't follow, but I will continue. And from this subquery, we will do the following. Reconstruct the release number again. And if it is quite old, I will replace a month to star. And if it is one of the 3 latest stable releases, or if it is one of the latest 2 LTS releases, it is supported. Pretty easy. And also I forgot, I will format it like Markdown to copy paste on Markdown page. But in the new ClickHouse version, you will write this. What is the difference? Not much. Just one subquery less. I will use these window functions directly inside expressions. I don't have to wrap it in another subquery. So pretty easy, and I hope you will like it. What is next? A new format. In ClickHouse, we have a dozen, not a dozen, more, several dozen formats for import and export. So you can format your data with Markdown if you want. You can format your data as Parquet or Arrow. But what is the new format? SQL insert. When you ask ClickHouse to present result as SQL insert, it will output the result as insert query, as a batch insert that you can copy paste, and you can just paste this query back to ClickHouse. But this is not the main use case. The main use case when you want to export data to some prehistorical database. And if you will struggle and this prehistorical database will not import your data in CSV or TSV. By the way, I want to ask you a question. If you used to work with some prehistorical database, tell me, please, what is this database? And for someone who will name the most rusty, the most rugged technology, I hope we will have a gift for you. So please name the technology you used to work. Maybe it will be some unusual database, maybe some unusual name. And I like to collect the names of unusual databases. Okay, and it is quite frequent a situation when some database cannot export CSV because it does not like the quotes that you have. Some database does not export your tab separated data because it does not like some escaping, and you are out of options, and the only remaining options is to just format your data as a bunch of insert statements. And you can control it with several settings. You can specify maximum batch size. So every 10,000 of records will be for one insert, and you will get multiple insert statements. You can change table name, and by default, it is just insert into table. You can turn on and off the list of columns. You can replace insert to replace query. And you can turn on and off these nice things. I hope you will find it useful, and maybe once it will save your life. Another feature for integrations. For integrations, not necessarily with prehistorical databases, but with some quite popular web scale database. I don't know what is web scale. I only know that it is MongoDB. It is like the only database that is web scale. So if you use MongoDB and you want to write just a simple query, you will notice that maybe MongoDB has support for SQL, but actually it does not have support for SQL, because it actually does have support in SQL, but only in their cloud service. And if you use self-hosted MongoDB and you want to write some queries, you have to do this. I'm not kind of experienced user of MongoDB, so I was quite surprised First, I used to think that MongoDB is using JavaScript for query language. But actually, it is not quite true. You use JavaScript, but for query language, you cannot use JavaScript, and instead you use some not quite a language, like a pseudo language for doing arithmetics with JSON. Yeah, it sounds quite unnatural, but just for me. I am not a MongoDB user. Maybe you are a fan of MongoDB and you write these queries all the time. But I prefer to write queries in ClickHouse in SQL. And if I can use ClickHouse, it is always better. So now we have this table function, MongoDB. You just specify what you want to read. You specify structure. Currently, it is necessary because MongoDB does not have structure, and ClickHouse does. And it will work. Let's compare the performance. So I ran the first query in MongoDB, and it took 7 minutes and 47 seconds. Not fast. Then I ran the same query with ClickHouse over MongoDB. And surprisingly, it was even slower, almost 12 minutes. Why it is slower? It appears that MongoDB does not like to give you the data. When you read data from MongoDB, it will be slow. Nevertheless, it will be always slow. And if you read all the data just to process it, it will be even slower. So I was quite frustrated about the new feature until I did one thing that is the best thing you can do with your data. I created a table in ClickHouse and did insert select. Insert into merge tree table, select from MongoDB. It took 12 minutes. But after this query, I can do queries directly to ClickHouse. And what do you think? How quickly the same query like this or this takes if you have data in ClickHouse? What do you think? Please post your options in chat. And if your answer will be the most precise, we will send you a gift. Okay, and now I want to hear the answers from Christoph, Tyler, and Yuko. Christoph.
It's ClickHouse, I would say like half a second.
Okay, half a second. Okay, maybe you underestimate, maybe you overestimate ClickHouse. Tyler, what is your variant?
I was really going to hope that it ends up at a quarter of a second, because that would be a fun bit of order of magnitude math to do.
Yes, maybe it will be nice. Yuko, your option, your take on this.
I am not a technical person, so difficult for me, but 2 minutes?
2 minutes. Oh, okay, I will record all these options. And what do we have in the chat? Christoph, could you please read?
Yes, we have 5 milliseconds, 0.5 seconds, 0.128 seconds, 1 millisecond, 10 milliseconds, 12 milliseconds, 0.01 milliseconds, 0.3 seconds, 2.4 seconds. Basically, we have everything.
10 milliseconds. So, Christoph, you underestimated ClickHouse performance. Tyler, your answer was better, but you still underestimated ClickHouse. And Yuko, you underestimated a lot. How ClickHouse can be only 5 times faster than MongoDB? No, it is 10,000 times faster, or I did not count correctly. I don't even want to count. If you see almost 10 minutes and 10 milliseconds, there is nothing to count. It is just different level of performance. And who has answered 10 milliseconds or 12 milliseconds is the winner. Maybe it is actually 12 milliseconds, and this is just a rounding error. But maybe it is actually 7 milliseconds. I don't remember. This is the time that you don't even notice. One example. I have the screen in my PC, and it gives 60 Hertz refresh rate. And it is not enough to demonstrate ClickHouse performance. I'm thinking really to buy 144 Hertz monitor only to enjoy ClickHouse performance. It will be nice. As a bonus, we also support insertion into MongoDB. If you have some small result and you just want to post it to be available in MongoDB, inserting data into MongoDB is not a crime. So we have this option for you. And you can create a table instead of just using table function for integrations. Integration with Meilisearch. Meilisearch is like Elasticsearch, but written in Rust and quite a young technology. It does not have all the features, but if you like Rust or if you like young technologies, I hope you will like it. It looks like this. Table engine. You create it. It does not store data. It is just a view over your Meilisearch server. And you can insert data into it with a regular insert statement. And the server on the other end of connection will index this data for you. It will create full text index, and then you can just select data back. And if you do regular select, it will simply read all the data back and nothing interesting. But you can use one special function named Meilimatch. This function will not be interpreted by ClickHouse. It will be sent to Meilisearch directly. And this statement will be run on their side directly. Here you see the syntax $. It is similar to Postgres syntax. It is just another way to write string literal, but more convenient if you have nested quoting, if you don't want to escape everything. So you will be able to select subset of data by search condition and additionally do filtering or analytics with ClickHouse. What else do we have for search? So we have integration with Meilisearch inside ClickHouse. And there is also one interesting way how to integrate with QuickWit. QuickWit is Another fresh technology that maybe can replace Elasticsearch in some cases. And it is quite nice because you can integrate directly with using just URL table functions. We have a guide for this. Just write ClickHouse and QuickWit, and you will find it. What else can we do? Maybe we need to integrate with Elasticsearch finally. Maybe with Sphinx or Manticore search. Or maybe we need to make full text indexes inside ClickHouse directly. And by the way, one independent contributor already started doing this. So what technology we should integrate? What do you think? Please post your options and we will read. And maybe we will do what you say. Maybe not. We don't have to. And another technology about integrations, this is for streaming queries. Streaming data import from queues. What integrations we already have? We already have integration with Kafka. If you don't like Kafka, you can use Redpanda, and it will work like a Kafka. We have integration with RabbitMQ and with updatable local files for streaming import. It is named file log. Maybe you have missed this feature. It is also interesting and nice. And in the latest version, we also have integration with NATS. What is NATS? N-A-T-S. It is interesting technology, and what is the most interesting is how it is different from Kafka. How is it different from RabbitMQ? It looks like just yet another technology for persistent queues. Why do you want to use it? It's a difficult question. Maybe one answer, I can say that it is more lightweight than Kafka. I did not check. But when I say that some technology is more lightweight than Kafka, it has very high chance to be true, because almost every technology is more lightweight. Another way to compare these technologies is to ask you, what programming language do you like? What technology stack do you use in your company? And if you like Java, you will use Kafka. If you like C++, you will use Redpanda. If you want to try to be unusual and different from other, maybe you like Erlang, and you will be happy using RabbitMQ. If you like Go, you will use NATS. And if you don't like any technologies at all, just use file log. It allows you to import the data from files without using any technology, and you can avoid touching Kafka, RabbitMQ, and even NATS. In the next version, I hope we will get also S3Q for streaming import of updating data inside S3. And my question for you, there are so many technologies for streams and queues. And what do you miss? What do you miss in ClickHouse? What do you want to have? Maybe one of a few technologies from Amazon like SQS or Kinesis, or maybe Apache Pulsar, maybe direct representation of MySQL replication log as a table. What do you like to have? Or maybe we will implement a small Kafka inside ClickHouse. Should we do this? Christoph, do you have any answers in our chat?
Yeah, we have SQS and Kinesis, so the AWS ecosystem, MySQL, Binlog, exactly one support for Kafka, which I believe we're working on that one, so that's good news.
Yeah, this should be the first. Exactly one support for Kafka. Yeah, because I don't like when you import data and you can get duplicates. And probably it will be before we will consider implementing a small persistent queues inside ClickHouse. It sounds very tempting to implement something directly inside ClickHouse because ClickHouse is so nice and Kafka looks like a alien technology for ClickHouse. What else? Probably the most anticipated, the most demanded feature of the new release is about join. And now we have plenty of new join algorithms. So let me explain in every detail. First is direct join algorithm. It is to join with tables that look like dictionaries. If you join with dictionaries, it will do lookups as is. But there are table engines that support key value requests and that are good with key value requests. One example of this engine is embed.rocksdb. And it looks like a small key value database inside ClickHouse. And when you want to join with key value database, you don't have to just read all the data, put it in memory inside hash table. Instead, you can just do lookups directly. So the name of this algorithm, direct. It can be also named nested loops, as in other databases. And what is the application? Imagine if you do joins with large table on the right-hand side, but you join with a small table from the left, or you use materialized view. And materialized view contains select. And you want to join in this select. But this query will run for every block of inserted data. So you will have some small block, and you need to join with this large table. You have another small block, and so on. And it will work much better with this new algorithm. Actually, it is nothing special, but it is very nice that we have finally implemented it. Another algorithm is parallel hash. It allows to speed up the stage of building the right-hand side of join, the preparation of this right-hand side. So if you have, again, a large table, but this table still fits in memory. And it does not allow key value lookups. We have to create a hash table in memory. And with parallel hash algorithm, we will create it in parallel, and you will get performance advantage like 10 times, maybe 50 times, depending on how many CPU cores do you have. We actually want to just enable it by default. And we almost did this. Almost. Sometimes this parallel hash algorithm is slower, but most of the time it will be beneficial. And yet another algorithm named full sorting merge. It is for the case when, again, right-hand side of the join is large. And so large that it does not fit in memory. And if it does not allow lookups, like some complex large subquery. And what you want to do, you want to just put it on disk, sort it, put the left-hand side on disk, sort it, and just do this merge of two sorted streams. If data fits in memory, it will be sorted in memory. If it does not, it will go to disk, it will be slower, but the main advantage, it will work. And if the table is large, it will work better than already existing partial merge join algorithm. And starting from the next release, we will also have this Grace hash join algorithm. And what do I want to say about all of this? I don't like this. I don't like if you have to specify the algorithm directly. It will be much better if everything will work automatically. It almost works automatically, but not quite. And our goal will be just to avoid the need for the user to tune the algorithm manually. What is next? Also, another nice feature. It will be especially useful if you build some user interface on top of ClickHouse. And imagine you let the user to just type the query. And you display the table. And you display some controls to filter data. To filter the data in this table. So take one column, specify some condition, and apply this condition. And when you need this, you have to modify the query. You have to modify SQL query. But how to rewrite SQL query in ClickHouse dialect programmatically? The best way is to not do it at all. Instead, you have an option for out-of-band filtering. You will not edit the SQL query. You just specify additional filter as a setting, like this. And you can specify arbitrary expression. You can specify multiple conditions combined with AND, and it will be interpreted without even substitution into SQL. So it is safe. You are safe from SQL injections, and it will work exactly as if you modified your SQL query, but without rewriting the language, without rewriting the SQL statements directly. And we have two options. One to filter the result, and another to filter data from tables. So every time you read from a table, it will be filtered. And you can specify multiple tables in a map. And then when you run your query, data will be filtered. Pretty easy. Sorry. If you really need this feature, please tell me your opinion in comments. If no one needs this feature, maybe it will be, I wanted to say it will be removed, but no, no. We want this feature. We need it. So it will be useful. But I will be happy to know if you also will find this feature useful, because we have made it not only for ourselves, but for you. We like our users, we like ClickHouse users, and we want you to be happy with ClickHouse. What else? Performance optimizations. I already told about performance optimizations on previous webinar last month, on another webinar 2 months ago. And you might get impression that we already optimized ClickHouse performance and nothing to look more. But it is very untrue. Every month we find a new way to improve performance. Maybe in some special case, maybe in some dark corner. But we will be happy if we will optimize some query and it will speed up your production use case. And here is one example. My colleague Maxim Kita optimized order by and insertion into merge tree and merging and window functions, and all with one shot. So how does it look? This query with simple order by, in previous version, it took 4 seconds. In new version, it takes 400 milliseconds. Almost 10 times faster. And this is just amazing improvement. You will get it if you use order by all the time. You will get this performance improvement. Just install the new release and you will get all the advantages. Another optimization. We have improved performance of select with final modifier. It improved about 4 times, and if you use collapsing or replacing, you will get the most of improvements, because these operations are quite complex. If you don't use the final modifier, simply skip this slide and let's go to the next. Some interesting and nice things, quite small, but very useful. First, if you do create as select, now you can specify create empty as select. It will get the structure from select query, but not fill the table with the data. Another function. There are 2 functions for base 58 encoding and decoding. It is similar to base 64, but it is different. And why do you need this? If you work with blockchain, I hope your company is still alive and your blockchain still have some market cap. And if it is the case, you will find these functions useful. And please use ClickHouse, because without ClickHouse, your blockchain will go bad. And if you use ClickHouse, all the people will bring their life savings to your blockchain. ClickHouse is like magic technology. Another function is to simply replace some characters in a string, like this. One character to another. And another function to parse some time interval in free form specification. And yet another setting for SQL compatibility when you do group by with rollup. It allows you to use nulls instead of default values. And in every like, position, match, and multi-match, multi-search functions, you can use non-constant arguments for needles. Okay, what else? This feature is quite controversial. One setting that allows you to encapsulate the default values of many other settings. So the setting is named compatibility. And you can set it to some ClickHouse release. Like in this example, I want compatibility with version 21.8. And what it will do? It will try to keep the default behavior of ClickHouse like it was in version 21.8, without any bugs, with all the performance improvements, but also without changing some behavior. So if we decided to change the default value of some setting and enable some behavior by default, but you don't care. You just want to keep the behavior as in version 22.8. You have two options. First option, not upgrading ClickHouse at all. You can just keep the old version running. It is not good for security. It is not good for multiple reasons. But now you have another option. You can set compatibility to this value and upgrade. And there is high chance that you will get no significant changes in behavior that can potentially break your scripts. I want to say that it is not going to protect you from 100% of changes. You know, even when we optimize its performance, your scripts may not like the improved performance. For some reason, maybe your script will notice that ClickHouse became too fast and fire some alert and so on. But it should give you some, not guarantee, but at least promise. And actually, I advise you, please don't use this feature. Better not to use it. Maybe you will really need it, and you will have this option, but better not to use this feature. And what else? A ton of improvements in drivers and integrations. multiple improvements for our Go language driver. Now it has an option to switch between native protocol and HTTP protocol. Even if you don't expose native interface, you can use Go driver. The internals of the driver are re-implemented, and now it is merged with high-performance implementation named CHGO from Alexander Razumov. And we have improved our Grafana plugin, our new Grafana plugin. There is also one legacy Grafana plugin that you should not use. And now the new Grafana plugin has support for the new JSON data type. While this JSON data type is still experimental, it is already supported in Grafana. And the same for supersets. And also now we have ClickHouse diagnostic tool. If you install ClickHouse, this tool will also be available. And if you want to collect some information, just run ClickHouse diagnostic and it will make everything for you. And this is the most interesting from me, the updated benchmark. So I like benchmarks. I even collect different benchmarks. And we have one benchmark with a clickstream scenario. And this benchmark is from year 2013. I wanted to make it fully reproducible, easy to run, and include almost every database that I know. And now we have this benchmark. And what is the most interesting? You may wonder, is this benchmark exist only to show the advantage of ClickHouse, or does it give some advantage to ClickHouse, or is it a benchmark or something like this? No, actually, this benchmark is not about ClickHouse. It is about my passion for databases, technologies, and analytical databases. And while I have made it, now I have impression that maybe this publishing this benchmark is actually not beneficial for ClickHouse, because now everyone will know how to optimize their system and how they can even beat ClickHouse performance. And if you explore this benchmark, and I strongly advise you to do, because it is interactive, you can choose, for example, only databases written in Java, or only MySQL compatible databases, or you can even find what databases are based on ClickHouse. So please play with this benchmark, and you will find that there are many interesting technologies, cloud databases. And yes, ClickHouse is the best technology. You will also find it with this benchmark. And we have a new website. If you like this website, you can say thanks to Tyler, because Tyler and not only for Tyler and the team. Tyler has coordinated all this effort. And many people from the team have implemented. What is special about the new website? Dark theme and light theme. And it loads quickly, it works fast, and it looks great. So It was just a small fraction of what we have made in 1 month, from the middle of June to the middle of July. And we have even more interesting stuff to prepare this summer. So this summer, we basically try to do as many interesting stuff as possible. And it is a nice time and nice weather, and so on. And finally, I have 2 minutes for your questions.
All right, we shall pick the most interesting ones. There's a lot of questions, but let's see what we can get through. We had a few questions on joins. Victor is asking with I guess it's about the new direct join, if we still need to place the dictionaries on the left side of the join. No, I think he means right side of the join.
Yeah.
It is such a pain with some frameworks. I guess like some frameworks auto-generate the join order, and but I guess it has to be on the right-hand side.
Yeah, you still have to. We don't have join reordering. We only plan to start working on join reordering from September. So I will keep my fingers crossed, or how to say, fists.
And a question from KK, what about sorting, also about join? So what about sorting ahead of time? I think it's about the merge join. What about sorting ahead of time? Will the sorting join know how to handle columns that are already sorted? If so, can I optimize for it with ClickHouse sort columns or sorting key, I guess?
Yeah, I have asked this question to the developer of this feature, to Vladimir, and he answered, not in this release, 22.7, but possibly in the next release. It will reuse table sorting. Okay.
And then last question on join. I don't quite understand this one, but maybe you do. Eugene is asking when not equal expression will add in join.
Currently, we support only one type of this expression, is a combination of equalities inside OR. So something equal to something, or something else equals to something else. About free-form expressions. So maybe in Q4, we don't have this support yet, and the most easy way is to convert to cross-join, but it will be bad if it is just inequality and we can do sorting join. So it is quite more complicated. I hope that we will finally allocate many efforts for join improvements. And what you see in version 22.7 is just the beginning.
I'm very excited about join improvements. The question on the order by optimization, Javier is asking, are these optimizations related to the sorting key?
Currently not. Currently, it will simply do the sorting from scratch. It is going to use the sorting key, not in this release, in the next release, probably.
Okay. Stig is asking, what is the oldest version supported for the compatibility setting?
We have added support from version 19 something, maybe even 18 something, but I strongly not recommend to set compatibility to 18 something, because it will make everything worse, and maybe it will make compatibility like 70% towards this old version, but not 100%.
Question from Ricky on the JDBC library. Is it still under heavy development and refactoring?
Yes. And now even more people are developing this library. So This library has quite a long history. It is started by Serezha Serbryanik, my friend, continued by Sasha Krasheninnikov from Badu, and then continued by Zhichun Wu from I don't remember what company, and he is the current contributor. But also we have people in our team that are actively helping and going to help developing JDBC driver. So we will have more contributors, and this is related to ClickHouse JDBC driver and JDBC bridge.
We have Victor asking, what is the roadmap for cost-based optimizer or any other optimizer?
The roadmap consists of several steps. Step number 1, implement analyzer for ClickHouse SQL dialect. What is interesting about ClickHouse SQL dialect is that first, it is SQL. And I'm happy that ClickHouse is not a NoSQL database like some MongoDB or something like this. ClickHouse has full support for SQL with some rough edges, but with many improvements on top of SQL. And some improvements make it much more convenient to use. Like you can use aliases for identifiers in every part of the query, even inside expressions. There are good support for arrays, including multi-dimensional arrays, nested data types, semi-structured data, lambda functions, and many things. But what is unfortunate, it prevents us to simply plug in some other optimizer. We cannot use Apache Calcite. We cannot use GP Orca from Greenplum. We cannot use Highrise optimizer. We cannot use parser for Postgres dialect as is. We have to first just do this specification of ClickHouse SQL dialect and do proper implementation of query analysis. And this is the first step and prerequisite for everything else. This is going to be, at least it is planned to be, in the middle of August this year. So 1 month, and hopefully we will get analyzer inside ClickHouse. It is not optimizer, it is just analyzer, but you will already get some benefits.
Great. Let's maybe take just 2 more questions. One question on YouTube, what's the current plan for transactions, especially replication?
We plan to get these transactions as production ready feature to the end of this year. So most likely December, November, or January, if we will be quite less fortunate. Currently, we only have something like preview version that you can use with merge tree tables, but not replicated merge tree tables. But all the fundamental stuff is present. We only need to finish.
Great. And then Stig is asking on joins whether projections would be used for sorted joins or could be used for sorted joins or will be used for sorted joins.
They should be used for sorted joins. So when you join by some key, we will look up, do we have a projection with this sorted order? This is how it is supposed to work, and how it will work, we will see. I cannot say by myself. I need to ask the developer.
Great. People got really excited about ClickBench, the new benchmarking tool that we have, and they suggested various products to benchmark. I think I saw Firebase, somebody said Timescale, somebody said Exasol. I guess we'll probably add some, but also everybody can contribute, right? Like people can run this themselves, get the results, open a PR. We're happy to merge it, right?
Yeah, and you should understand that this is just one benchmark. There are multiple scenarios, and if you will try to use ClickHouse as a replacement for MongoDB, it will be fine if you use it for analytics, but don't try to use it for 100,000 of key value requests per second. It will work bad, and the same for TimescaleDB. Maybe TimescaleDB is actually very good for some specific scenario, like many small queries from time series. But actually, ClickHouse is much better for analytics, and this is beyond any doubt.
I agree. Last thing, do you want to hear all of the answers to the obscure database question? So we had a lot of people chime into that. It was a very lively chat session this time. It's very nice. So we had a few mentions of Microsoft Access, Oracle, Lucene, and then we had CacheDB, MSQL, which I guess is like not MySQL, it's something before, I guess. Adabas, FoxPro, TokuMX. We had something called Clarion, which actually caused like a discussion on the YouTube chat. So I guess some people remember this thing called Clarion very fondly. I tried to look it up. I tried to figure out what it is. I have no idea. But and then we had Sybase, MonetDB, and HSQLDB. So quite a lot of interesting things I've never heard of.
Okay, and who said Adabas?
Stickbucken.
Okay, Stickbucken. Probably Stick already has our t-shirt, but let's send a second one. Yeah, and also FoxPro is quite nice option. But Adabas wins.
Great, and it seems like Stick does not have a shirt, so he gets a shirt. That's great. Stick, I think we probably have your email, but if we don't, well, I think we probably do. If we don't, we'll track you down. And
yeah, and please record who has answered 10 milliseconds for that query.
Yes, we'll do.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you all for joining the webinar. We're a little bit over. Still many people are here. That's great.
About our Munich webinar, do you want to announce?
Yes.
Meetup.
Indeed, we have. So we're doing in-person meetups, and we're currently doing a bit of a European tour. So we've done Paris, we've done London yesterday, and we're doing Munich next week. Are you in Munich, Alexei?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. So if you want to meet Alexei in person, then we are in Munich next week on Wednesday, I think probably 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Local time. So if you're anywhere close to Munich, please join us, please come. I think it's in the office of a ClickHouse user, Metoda. We'll hear from them. We'll hear from, I think, one other ClickHouse user, and then Alexei, and then maybe there's some other talks as well. So basically an evening full of ClickHouse content together with many people that use ClickHouse and know ClickHouse and that you can talk to. So if you're around, please come. It would be great to see you.
Thank you. See you in Munich or in a month on the next webinar.